Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why you can't stop checking each other's social media.
And we know you can't. We know it.
You're ready to crack. Uninstall the apps from your phone if it makes you feel any better. It is not easy to not check. And it's not easy to check not 100 times a day, right?
I know.
You're like, oh man, it's so hard not to look. Some of you guys do better than others, but sometimes it's
some of you are excellent. You're like, I haven't even, blocked, deleted, whatever. But I know some of you struggle, and some of you might have more obsessive, maybe even compulsive tendencies, and we understand that too.
It can feel impossible to stop, right?
Yep.
But just understand the dumper and the dumpy do this. It's not just the dumpy. The dumper is checking your social media. I know it's hard to believe, but your ex is very likely going to have doubts. Now, in the beginning, they're going to act really certain. There's going to be a wall up. They're not going to let you see the cracks in the wall, or that they may be reconsidering their decision or anything like that. They're going to hide those things, because if they don't, you're going to continue to reach out and pursue them or push things.
Right. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 different reasons why the both of you likely are checking each other's social media. And it's interesting because many of you think that your exes aren't watching, but some of you know that they are.
That's true.
Some of you will be like, well, they watch every single story as soon as I post it. They like every single one of my posts. So we're going to talk a little bit about this phenomena, why we stay on each other's profiles.
And there is an interesting to think about and consider. It's not that they're watching, it's that they're letting you know that they watch, because they can watch privately. There are different ways to watch privately. They're letting you know that they're watching, and that's different.
There's something to it. So the first reason is low risk connection. So there's no pressure, right? They have an insight into your life, into what you're doing. They can feel close and connected to you through the screen, but without actually having to commit or have a conversation or have an intensity behind it. So it kind of can be like if they're, walking down the street and peeking into the window of your house. What's going on here? I just want to know. I'm curious. It feeds their curiosity a little bit and makes them feel a little bit connected to you without having to do too much.
Without sending a drone.
Yeah. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of exes, when they're ambivalent, they want to know what you're up to. They want to know how you've been doing since the breakup. If you're going to be posting a dramatic video of you crying and sobbing and not being able to handle yourself, or if you, are going to be able to rebuild yourself and showing yourself in a more confident light, or if you're trying to make them jealous, or if you're trying to come off a certain way and they can see right through it. So they're going to be curious. And we know that if you've been dumped, you're also doing this too. Curiosity is eating away at you. Who are they with? What are they doing? Are they dating someone?
And they're going to wonder those things. They are going to wonder those things. I know it seems so hard to believe when they're being so cold or mean, but it's going to be both people checking to see what the other is doing and get that comfort. Right?
Yep. Which really is our second point here too, is that curiosity and reminiscing. So there can be a little bit of nostalgia too that comes from seeing, what's happening. If they see you post a picture with your family, they'll be like, oh, I remember Granny Sue. There could be a nostalgia that comes with that.
Or I knew they were going to go on this vacation, or they're going to be thinking about all the things that they knew were upcoming, or they want to see if you've removed them.
Yeah, that too.
They want to see if you're dating someone else, because a lot of times they don't fear that in that moment until it actually happens.
Yep, exactly.
So.
All right. Another big reason is them testing the waters. Like Craig had said earlier, there might be many that are knowing that you can see that they check or look or like or comment, right? And so there can be an element of, is this going to be enough to provoke a response? Is this going to be enough to provoke a conversation? So it might be testing the waters in that sense. Now, from how we view it, if somebody likes a story or reacts to something, it's not necessarily a reach out. We're hoping that, people will be a little bit more adult than that and use words to communicate. So just to be clear on that.
Absolutely. But for both people, the nervous system hates not knowing. And that is wired to us from when we're infants and babies wandering away from our parents, we have to know where our loved ones are at. And so they can't turn that off. It's a biological part of being a human being. You can't turn that off.
Yeah. They want to stay in the loop. They want to still feel connected to you. And that's part of our separation anxiety. It's part of being human and feeling stronger when we're connected.
And that's why they create fake accounts. They ask mutual friends and family what's going on in your life. They show up to places that they know you're going to be.
Yeah.
They show up to your work or your friend's job. They start to do these things because they can't sit with the uncertainty either.
The next reason is a good one, and this is kind of the elephant in the room when we talk about social media, but dopamine, validation, right? That little feeling of a high when we see our ex's name beneath, the view list of our story. We're like, got him. Target audience reached, right? So we get a sense of a high from it.
And let's be honest here. Many times you post a story just to see if they are the ones that look. You don't care about if every person in your following looks. You only care about if they look.
Yeah. And it's wild. I hear that from so many of you. You might be scrolling down and, wow, Adriana Lima saw my photo. Oh my gosh, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Oh my gosh, the Buddha himself watched my story. Whatever. My ex, though.
They didn't look.
Right? So we can be so goal driven. Just thinking about the Buddha on social media. That's a funny thought. But it's true. We get so hyper focused on, that one little name profile being under our view list that we get such a high from it.
Yeah.
And, same vice versa. You might be thinking, oh, my ex doesn't care if I'm alive or dead. They don't care if I view their story or not. But trust me, we talk to dumpers too.
Yeah.
They become curious as well.
Yeah, well, it proves on some even minuscule small level that they still care and that they're thinking about you. Especially if they're like watching a few minutes after you post every time or they watch every one of your stories. But you guys got to be careful with this stuff because some of you guys look desperate and you overpost.
And you get addicted. You get addicted to it.
I need to see if they're going to watch the next story and the next one and the next one.
Right.
And they didn't look at that one. And then it keeps you. When you get caught up in that cycle, you're not really growing in no contact. You're focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah. And here we're really about building true confidence, not just, becoming dependent on your ex's social media behavior. So we want to be able to do a little bit better than that. We understand that we're all human and we experience anxiety and, our brains can kind of turn to primitive dopamine kind of ways sometimes, but we want to challenge ourselves and find more of that confidence from within if we can.
Yeah.
All right. Our final reason is ambivalence and hidden feelings. So this is the more
ambivalence. What does that mean? They don't look ambivalent.
Trust me.
But they can be.
They can be.
Especially as time goes by, meaning they don't know what they want. Part of them wants to be with you. Part of them doesn't think it could work.
Right. And ambivalence is really about that being on the fence, is having some doubts. Some days, thinking, maybe did I make a mistake? Other days thinking, oh, no, I was absolutely correct in my decision and would do it again. So that's part of ambivalence.
Yep.
They might be looking at your social media to say, okay, is there going to be evidence that I made the right decision? Is there going to be evidence that I've made the wrong decision here? So, this can be something that a lot of exes experience.
Yep. And, with the way social media is these days, it allows to have some of the information without having to do much to get it, too. So we got a few tips for you because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
First, I'll say mute the accounts if you have to. There is this great feature on a lot of social media where you don't have to block or unfriend or unfollow or whatever. You can just simply mute them so they don't show up on your feed and you're less likely to obsess over that. So that could be something that's really helpful for people, just a feature that helps. You can mute notifications if that helps. You can also, if you really need to, and I know some of you really need that extra step, is to block them. We don't recommend this off the bat, especially if things were amicable, but in certain situations, yourself, and if that block is going to help you to not obsess and deteriorate your self-esteem by doing that,
I'd rather
do that.
Yeah, I'd rather you removed the app from your phone for a while than block if you have to.
Yeah.
But it can. Some of you guys are struggling so much with it that it's all you can do.
Yeah, and focus really on the spirit of what we're saying, meaning if you have mutual friends that are posting your ex all the time, do the same with that, because this is not a situation where, we're telling you one thing, we're saying, oh, find loopholes to everything that we say to still feed your anxiety. No, we're saying, think about the spirit of it, meaning, staying away from obsessing over their social media for your mental health.
Obsess on the personal growth. That will make you feel so much better in the long run when you're focused on something every day. We have over 2,500 videos between the two channels. There's so much information and a wealth of knowledge for you. If you focus on that instead, it will truly help you grow and heal. You could look at the creative healing course. It is tremendous. There is so much great, meaningful content that is so good to healing your soul and finding out who you are, right? It's a big part of it is finding out who you are, growing, challenging yourself, pushing yourself to handle uncertainties, pushing yourself to be a better partner. There is nothing that feels better to me, in my opinion, than personal growth. And I recently got all of the case notes from Margaret.
Wow.
And I should show them to you guys. It's literally this thick.
Wow.
Of notes that from every session that I went to Margaret is still there.
Wow.
I forgot to tell you that.
That's interesting.
They're actually sitting on the table.
No way.
It's unbelievable. And the first note is from the breakup with the Applebee's girl, the first session. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
What did Margaret write? I have no idea what I'm in for here.
Hopeless.
Lord help me with this one.
Hopeless. Every note just said hopeless.
Our next video is going to be Craig exposed. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Our last tip here is sitting with the discomfort. And this is for, my obsessive compulsive people out there. This is such an important skill to improve at, is being able to say, oh, I have this urge, I have this itch to check, to see, I need to know, I'm having this feeling that's kind of overcoming me, that I want to control the situation or get some kind of information or something that's bothering me. And it's being able to sit with that discomfort until it passes.
Yep.
This is one of those concepts a lot that they'll teach you in a lot of different types of therapy, of allowing that feeling and the urge to kind of flow through you and pass, kind of like a wave. Just experiencing that. We promise that if you don't check your ex's social media for a day, for a week, for a month, that the world will still be here.
Yep. This is the emotional self-control that we often talk about.
And it's tough.
And but if you think it's tough now, it's going to be even tougher when you get in front of your ex.
Thanks for that.
And they say to you, you did this, that, and the other. Then no contact.
Right. So we got to do our best here. And with each day, try to have push yourself, have more of that emotional self-control if we can. And of course, we also recommend, we are pro therapy. We know that there's a lot of different kind of therapists out there. So of course, we recommend those that do focus more on attachment theory, those that are more trauma informed. So do your research, find a good therapist that can help you work through some of these things for you, especially if you know that you have obsessive compulsive tendencies.
Yep. All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
We are here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.